Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English Flow Podcast Official. Today's episode is a little different. In this lesson, you will discover your English level. Are you a beginner, elementary, intermediate, advanced, or almost fluent? The interesting thing is this. You don't need a grammar test. You don't need a teacher. You only need your ears and your attention. Here's how it works. You will listen to 6 short stories. Each story represents one English level. A1, beginner level. A2, elementary. B1, intermediate. B2, upper intermediate. C1, advanced. C2, expert. If one story feels very easy, but the next one feels difficult, that point is probably your current English level. So relax, listen carefully, and enjoy the process. Let's start with the first level, A1, beginner level. At the beginner level, English is simple and clear. Sentences are short, the vocabulary is common. If you understand this easily, your English is at least A1. Here is the story. My name is Anna. I am 26 years old. I live with my parents in a small house. We also have a dog. His name is Max. Max is very friendly. Every evening, I take Max to the park. The park is close to our home. There are many trees and green grass. Max likes to run and play with other dogs. I usually sit on a bench and watch him. In the morning, I wake up at 7 a.m. I eat breakfast in the kitchen. Usually, I drink tea and eat bread. After breakfast, I go to work. I work in a small shop. The shop sells snacks and drinks. My job is simple. I help customers and take money. At 5 o'clock, I go home. In the evening, my family eats dinner together. After dinner, I sometimes watch television or read a short book. At 10 o'clock, I go to bed. My life is simple, but I feel happy. If you understood that story easily, congratulations! Your English level is at least A1. Now let's move to the next level, A2. Elementary level. At A2 level, sentences become longer and more connected. You will hear more details about daily routines and activities. If you understand this without much effort, your level is A2 or higher. Here is the story. My name is Mark, and I live in a small apartment near the city center. The apartment is not very big, but it is comfortable. There is a kitchen, a bedroom, and a small living room. From my window, I can see a park with tall trees. In the morning, I often hear birds singing. I work in an office about 10 minutes from my apartment. Most days, I walk to work, but when it rains, I take the bus. I start work at 8:30 in the morning and finish at 5. During the day, I answer emails, talk to clients, and help my manager with small tasks. My coworkers are friendly, and we usually eat lunch together. We go to a small cafe near the office. Sometimes we talk about our weekend plans or funny things that happened at work. After work, I often go to the gym. I exercise for about 1 hour and listen to music. In the evening, I cook dinner at home and watch a TV show. On weekends, I meet friends in the city. We drink coffee, walk around, and sometimes watch a movie. If that story felt natural for you, your English is at least A2. Now let's try something a little more complex. B1, intermediate level. At B1 level, stories include opinions, explanations, and goals. If you can follow the ideas clearly, you are likely B1 or higher. Here is the story. My name is Liam, and I work as a computer technician. My job is to fix computers, install software, and help people solve technical problems. I have been doing this job for about 6 years. What I enjoy most about it is that every problem is different. Sometimes the issue is simple, like a keyboard that stops working. Other times, the problem is more complicated and takes hours to solve. When I finally fix something, I feel proud. I also work with a great team. If someone has difficulty with a problem, we help each other. Teamwork makes our job easier. After work, I like to relax by walking in a park near my office. Listening to music helps me clear my mind. At home, I often watch documentaries or read articles about technology. I am also studying online because one day I want to start my own business. It takes time and effort, but I believe it will be worth it. If you understood that story mostly, your English is around B1. Now let's move to a more advanced level, B2, upper intermediate level. At B2 level, English becomes more natural and expressive. Here is the story. My name is Nina, and I work as a freelance graphic designer. A few years ago, I had a stable job in a large company. The salary was good and my colleagues were kind, but after some time, I started to feel stuck. Every day felt the same office, the same routine, the same projects. Eventually, I realized I wanted more freedom and creativity in my life. So I made a difficult decision. I left my job and started working independently. The beginning was challenging. I had no clients and no clear plan. Some days I worked for many hours without earning anything. But slowly, things began to improve. I created an online portfolio and contacted small businesses. Little by little, new clients appeared. Today, my life is very different. I can choose the projects I want and manage my own schedule. Of course, freelancing has risks. Income can change from month to month, but the freedom and creativity make it worthwhile. If that story felt natural for you, your English is at least B2. Now let's move into advanced English, C1, advanced level. At C1 level, English includes abstract thinking and deeper explanations. Here's the story. My name is David, and I work as a project manager in a technology company. Over the years, I have learned that managing people can be far more complex than managing projects. Projects follow schedules and budgets. People, however, bring emotions, opinions, and different perspectives. Balancing these elements is one of the most challenging parts of leadership. My day usually begins early. I arrive at the office before most of my team. This quiet time allows me to review tasks, read messages from clients, and prepare for the day ahead. Once everyone arrives, the energy in the office changes. Conversations begin, ideas are exchanged, and progress starts moving forward. In my experience, good leadership is not about controlling people, it is about building trust and encouraging communication. When people feel heard and respected, they naturally perform better. If that story was clear for you, your English is at least C1. Now let's try the final level, C2, expert level. At C2, language becomes subtle, reflective, and expressive. Here is the final story. My name is Elena, and over time I have realized that the hardest decisions in life are rarely about choosing between good and bad. More often, they are choices between two paths that both lead to somewhere meaningful. When we are young, we tend to chase progress without pausing to ask why. We change jobs, cities, and goals, believing movement itself means growth. But eventually, we discover that true progress comes from understanding ourselves more deeply. These days, I try to live more slowly. My mornings begin quietly with a cup of coffee and sunlight through the window. Instead of rushing into the day, I take a moment to reflect. I have learned that clarity often appears not in moments of noise and activity, but in moments of stillness. In the end, life is less about collecting achievements and more about appreciating the present moment. If you understood that story comfortably, your English is very close to native level fluency. That's an incredible achievement. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. You have just listened to 6 levels of English, from beginner to expert. Maybe you understood the first 3 stories easily. Maybe the advanced ones were more challenging. That's completely normal. Language learning is a journey, not a race. Thank you for listening to English Flow Podcast Official. Keep listening, keep practicing,